I don't need that for the time being.
Miss, please, excuse me.
Yes?
You know, I want to apologize for our little misunderstanding. I brought you a bottle of wine. Markstadt Sauvignon. Very good year. Let me know what you think.
I'm very touched. Thank you.
Good luck on your journey, lady.
Thank you. Impossible to reach it. Impossible. Hey there! On the boat!
Guten Tag, schöne Mademoiselle.
My husband say, "Hello, young lady. You want to talk to us?"
I just met with the university rectors, and they ordered me to remove my train out of their station. I mean, it's a total joke! How do you remove a train that can't move in the first place? You don't have any ideas, do you?
We know nothing of train. You up your own creek.
Your generosity warms my heart. I have a little problem with my train. It's kind of broken. I've absolutely got to get it out of the station. Do you think you could tow it over to the wall with your barge?
Lock closed. Barge blocked.
But if the locks were open, would it be okay to tow my train then?
Por qué no? More money for that werk.
Da, it's possible. My husband say we help you if you give money.
It's not very polite of you to take advantage of my predicament. We could have done favors for each other, for free, out of solidarity.
Father, I speak not full. Money, ja, weak full.
Excuse me?
My husband say need money for live. $100 not lot for fancy lady like you.
How would you know a fancy lady like me, really? I'll leave you to it. I won't disturb you again.
До свидания.
This thing's jammed. Gentlemen, forgive me for disturbing you again, but I have a little problem.
A little problem, a little problem. Everyone has little problems now, you know.
They are kept to oneself, and they don't stop the world from turning.
Nor trains from leaving stations.
Could I possibly leave the train in the station for one more day?
Out of the question. Trains should first stop, then subsequently leave. That is the rule.
Perform the task we agreed on, quickly, and we will pay you on completion.
A deal is a deal.
I haven't introduced myself. My name is Kate Walker.
Walker, haven't we already had a Miss Walker? Ethnology Masters, September 1953, if my memory serves me correctly.
Perfectly well, my dear colleague. But if I may be so bold, it was a Mr. Walker and not a Miss. It was Bill Walker, sat the June 68 exams. The impudent fool turned up for the oral assessment in jeans, flouting strict internal regulations which explicitly state the required uniform for the occasion.
Pure incitement. It was scandalous. Sadly, we have seen worse since. Young people lack all respect of traditional values.
Tradition, young lady. One must always uphold tradition.
Can you possibly help me out here?
Miss, your insistence is almost verging on indecency.
We cannot constantly be at your disposal. We have many other requests to attend to.
If you don't mind, could you not disturb us all the time? Thank you.
Does the name Hans Vorarlberg mean anything to you by chance?
Ah, one of the brightest, most idealistic intellects to have graced our university. Hans Vorarlberg. I remember speaking to him once. I was still a student at the time. He just stared at me, lost in thought for a while. He scarcely ever said a word. But how can one forget him?
Idealistic? I'll grant you that. But bright? Oh, don't go too far. He was completely incapable of passing any exams. All he ever did was to sit in on lessons, and not many of them either. Paleontology, mainly. He had an unhealthy passion for mammoths, which matched the state of his intellect perfectly. That is to say, prehistoric.
Prehistoric? How dare you? A little far-fetched, maybe. But he did have flashes of intellectual brilliance, comprehensible only to high-minded scholars who hold no score by appearances. My dear colleague, your hasty conclusions are somewhat cavalier.
My assessment is wholly accurate. The boy was a little odd. You must concur if my father, who was rector of the university at the time, had not shown great indulgence towards him. Hans Vorarlberg would have never attended this establishment.
What about the bandstand, then? Is that the work of a deranged mind? Even after all these years, you are still jealous of it.
My dear colleagues, I beseech you, let's show some decorum. We have a visitor. What do you want with Hans Vorarlberg, miss? Are you a member of his family?
No, not at all. I'm looking for him to clear up an inheritance matter. Is he still here?
What? Here? At the university? No, not at all. He left a long time ago. Yes, a very long time ago. The very year I was nominated to this position, in fact. Almost 50 years ago already.
The poor soul moved on once he learned all he needed to know about mammoths.
Ah, this establishment was never quite the same after his departure, it must be said.
You mean to say it was never as bad? All that oddball brought to this university was his misplaced fantasies.
Gentlemen, let's try to retain the calm and level-headedness that befits our position.
Excuse me.
Miss, we find ourselves terribly put out by the presence of your train in our station and by its recurrent immobility.
Indeed, the situation is very regrettable. Your huge locomotive is very cumbersome.
A train should first stop, then subsequently leave. That is the rule.
That idea of the station aviary is really very original.
It's the pride of our university. One of the specialties taught here is zoology, you see, and more particularly, ornithology. Proper study and instruction should not be limited to books. Observation of living matter is indissociable from theoretical questions.
It contains some very rare specimens that have been brought back from faraway, exotic countries, especially for our university, by the world's most intrepid explorers.
Do you remember Alexander Valenbois and his peculiar bird?
Absolutely. His gift produced some very embarrassing long-term consequences.
A poison chalice indeed. It must be said the situation could have been much worse, however.
Oh, yes, it could have been terribly problematic.
Are you sure you want me to mend your bandstand? You don't have some other service I could perform for you that is less complicated?
It appears to me that you are in no position to make demands, miss. So please, keep up with the good work and good luck.
Don't think for a moment that our university is falling apart around our ears. We pay close attention to its maintenance in both the moral and the physical sense of the word.
It is currently the only repair work that deserves payment on completion. Here we are, busy chatting, and look at the clock. It's tea time.
Already? My word, doesn't time fly by?
Thank you for a charming visit, miss.
And thank you, gentlemen. Excuse me. Can I disturb you a second?
No,
You could be a little bit nicer about it.
keep quiet. In case you haven't noticed, we're somewhere that requires silence and tranquility.
Hello.
Shh! Don't talk so loud.
I'm sorry, but I was wondering if you could help me.
Can't you see I'm very busy?
What are you looking for?
None of your business. Now, if you don't mind, I am trying to concentrate. I haven't got a lot of time left before Professor Pons's next tutorial.
Professor Pons, you say?
Would you mind working elsewhere, please?
Hello.
Shh!
I'm so...
Can't you...
What are you looking...
None of your...
Professor...
Would you mind...
Do excuse me, Professor. Professor, sorry to disturb you again.
What is it you want to know, miss?
Please do excuse my persistence, Professor, but did Hans Vorarlberg ever talk about his childhood? About Valadilene and his sister, Anna?
No, not that I recall.
Pity.
When I think of Hans, I'm always reminded of a mysterious mammoth doll he would talk about so often. A small effigy of a mammoth made of hide and mounted with its own miniature mouth. How come he was so lucky? Why have I not seen this?
What would you say about seeing Hans Vorarlberg again? After all, you could come with me and help me find him.
Young lady, you are very kind. I'm far too old for such escapades.
To tell you the truth, I'm looking for Mr. Hans Vorarlberg. He's the sole heir of a very unusual factory. My company is in charge of negotiations for the takeover of this factory. At last word, he was living in Syberia, so as soon as my train is ready, I'll be continuing my journey eastwards.
Syberia. Ah, Syberia. But what was it you said again?
Said what?
You mentioned a name. The person you are looking for.
Vorarlberg. Hans Vorarlberg. Do you know him?
Hans Vorarlberg. How could I forget him? Such an extraordinary fellow. So inventive. We shared a passion for mammoths, you know, and we bonded over this passion. Without it, I confess, I would have had little to do with an odd, ageless retard like Hans. At the time, we were both students. Well, sort of. Put it this way. Hans had special permission to attend paleontology lectures. You see, he didn't really have the necessary qualifications. In exchange, Hans did a few odd jobs around the university.
Your Hans Vorarlberg sounds uncannily like the one I'm looking for.
I'm not sure, my dear. Hans was above all questions of money and business. Just to imagine him running a factory, perish the thought.
Can you tell me a little bit more about him?
He was always a mystery to me. He never said very much, and never quite seemed to grasp what you said to him. He expressed himself instead through his incredible mechanical contraptions. His inventions, I admit, have been much appreciated by the university. The few times we really did talk, it was about his strange interest for mammoths and a doll. Some sort of doll that obsessed him.
A doll, you say?
Yes, he kept talking about it. One day he described it to me. A sort of children's toy. A miniature mammoth mounted by a mouth. It appears he found it in a cave not far from his home. The event all sounds very dramatic. His account was slightly confused, but it awoke a great interest in me.
What do you mean?
To my knowledge, there is only one tribe who made figurines featuring a mouth, and that tribe is the Yukols. They live in the farthest reaches of Syberia, and for them, the dolls constituted a sacred object, illustrating one of their central legends. How such a doll made the journey from the frozen Siberian north to a cave in the French Alps is a mystery to me. Even today, it is beyond my comprehension.
Have you considered that Hans Vorarlberg was maybe making it up? You said yourself he didn't seem to have all his mental facilities intact.
No, that's impossible. Hans couldn't invent a story like that. The doll is a sacred part of the Syberia legend. He described it to me in exact detail. Syberia itself is a chimera that paleontologists of the world are very fond of pursuing.
Professor, how do I say this? You see, I didn't think I'd need a lot of money when I set out. And it turns out I need money after all. It's a delicate matter, I know, but I was wondering if you could help me out.
My dear, it would be a pleasure, but you see, I barely have enough myself to cover my meager expenditure on what I'm paid by the university.
Sorry, I didn't mean to offend or...
However, if we look at the example of Hans, It is true that our university always rewards people who perform some service for it. This is our dear rector's jurisdiction, however.
I'll leave you in peace. I hope I haven't disturbed you too much.
Sorry? No, not at all, my dear child.
No point. It's locked. No point. I'm sorry to disturb you.
What can I do for you, miss?
I've just been to see the rectors, and they told me to get the train out of the station as quick as I can.
I thought they'd say that. Rules are rules, and you gotta stick by them. Not a good idea to get into trouble with the university administration.
Absolutely. I've got enough worries as it is. What should I do then?
Well, I suggest you move your train.
But it's like I say, the springs are unwound. Everyone seems to think it's my fault.
The locomotive's engine might not work, it's true, but maybe there's some other way of moving the train.
It's a possibility, I suppose. What were you thinking of exactly?
Nothing. It was just an idea. Anyway, miss, you shouldn't hang around here. I have a job to do. Yes, sirree.
I feel like I've lost my way a little here. I could really do with your help.
Hey, anything I can do, miss, you just let me know.
The name Hans Vorarlberg doesn't mean anything to you by chance, does it?
Oh, do you really think I'd remember one little name from the thousands that pass through this station?
It seems that your superiors object to the presence of my train in the station. Not exactly easygoing, are they?
Well, it's not that they're difficult to please, but I find that the less I have to do with them, the better things are. Get my drift. Birds, more peaceful than employers. And respect for the regulations. Now that brings peace of mind.
All these birds in a station. It's amazing.
This is no ordinary station, miss. Oh, no. These birds are part of the prestigious University of Bergstadt Ornithological Collection. Over the years, this aviary has housed some of the most fantastic species from all over the world. And I am not exactly your typical station master either. This little world is my responsibility, and that is no easy task.
I can well believe you.
And you know what's the hardest? The hardest thing is to keep interspecial harmony. And one day some explorer introduced a couple of cuckoos from the Amazon. Whoa!
It wasn't a good idea?
A nightmare! You know, cuckoos lay their eggs in the nests of other species, right? Now, what's more, they also push the host's eggs out of the nest, so that they receive all the mother's attention, right? Accursed cuckoos. Nightmare.
I see what you mean. That's one tricky bird. And there was nothing you could do to stop it?
The faculty declared the bird a protected species. If it wasn't for our mechanical eagle, we were sitting on a major ornithological catastrophe.
You have an automaton here?
A wonder of technology. It's an eagle that's mounted on rails in the air. It passes through and it swoops down to collect parasite eggs. But heck, the dang eagle's been out of order for several years. Impossible to collect the eggs myself.
Why not?
I can't climb up the gangway. I fell off it several months back and I still have a pain in my spine. Not to mention the vertigo I've been getting. I only have to look up in the air. Whoa.
You poor soul. That must be very hard.
Worst thing is, cuckoo eggs piling up in the nests. Soon the rectors are gonna notice. There's trouble in store, big trouble. Oh, I'm worried. Yep, worried.
The sailors on the barge reckon they could help me tow my train out of here, but they're asking for money. You couldn't possibly help me out with a few dollars, could you? I would be very grateful.
Miss, really, I'm surprised at you. Asking for money from a total stranger. Oh.
Right. I need cash. I need it to get my train out of your station because my train is getting in your way, disturbing your birds, and upsetting your bosses.
Look, lady, I'm only a station master. I got my problems and you got yours.
I won't disturb you any longer, Mr. Station Master.
Welcome to Barrockstadt, miss.
Everything okay, Oscar?
Yes, Kate Walker. I am awaiting your instructions.
The university authorities want us to move the train out of their station. According to internal regulations, trains are designed for coming and going, not staying at platforms.
They have a point, Kate Walker. However, our train is unique, and its clockwork mechanism has requirements that are beyond the station's rudimentary equipment.
Hey, that's not their problem, Oscar.
The problem is also beyond my mandate, Kate Walker.
Whatever. Oscar, there's no way you could help me find a way to wind the train back up again?
Rust awaits my every movement if I leave this train, Kate Walker. And what would you do with a rusty engine driver?
Not a lot, I suppose. Oscar, there's no way you could help me find a way to wind the train back up again? Oscar, I think that Hans Vorarlberg once stayed in this town after he left Valladolid. Maybe this wasn't a chance stopover after all.
Nothing is left to chance in a railroad network.
You agree with me then?
We have no concrete proof to support your hypothesis. The train stopped because the clockwork mechanism is unwound. That is the only concrete evidence we have, Kate Walker.
I was just hoping for a little imagination on your part, Oscar.
No, Kate Walker. I am only an automaton, Kate Walker.
This train might be a wonder of technology, but the engine's limited autonomy is a liability. You got to admit that.
I am afraid I refuse to entertain this consideration, Kate Walker.
Oscar, the sailors have agreed to tow the train, but they want to get paid for it. I suppose you have some petty cash on board to cover traveling costs?
No, there is nothing like that. You will note, however, Kate Walker, that every effort has been made to ensure maximum passenger comfort.
Okie dokie. I'll have to sort this one out by myself then. You should take a look around the station, Oscar. It's amazing. Greenhouses that are all lit up, exotic trees, and thousands of birds of all different colors.
I am obliged to avoid exposing my wheelwork to corrosive bird excreta. I shall remain inside to monitor the locomotive.
Of course. Well, too bad for you. Oscar, see you later, alligator.
In a while, Kate Walker.
No point weighing myself down. I need a key. That looks broken.
Welcome to the East Block Control Center. To start, press the number sign. If you are using the Haltenberg lock, press 1. If you are using the Morloff lock, press 2. If you are using the Koningpass lock, press 3. If you are using the Barakstadt lock, press 4. To return to the last command, press the number sign. If you want to raise the water level, press 1. If you want to lower the water level, press 2. To return to the last command, press the number sign. You want to lower the water level in the Barakstadt lock? To confirm your choice, press star. To return to the previous command, press the number sign. Your request has been logged. Unfortunately, our regional technician is currently on holiday, and no replacement is available. We will reply to your request within 48 hours. In case of an emergency, please operate the lock system manually. We apologize for delays to our service.
Gentlemen, forgive me.
A little problem.
They are kept to oneself.
Nor trains from... Here we are.
Already?
Thank you.
And thank... Do excuse, Professor.
What is it?
I'll leave you in peace.
Sorry?
Hey there!
Guten
Have you gone down to take a look around the station yet?
Me.
We.
It's not.
Father.
Excuse.
My husband's.
How would. I'll leave you to it. I don't need that for the time being. I don't need that for the time. Everything okay?
Yes.
And to think that when I first became a lawyer, I was...
Is something wrong, Kate Walker? Is the restaurant car service not to...
Don't worry, Oscar. The university authorities want to...
They have a point, Kate Walker.
Hey, that's not...
The problem is also...
Whatever. Oscar?
Rust awaits my...
Oscar, I think that...
Nothing is left to chance.
You agree?
We have no concrete proof to support your...
I was just hoping for a little
No, Kate Walker.
This train might be a wonder of technology, but...
I am afraid
You should take a look around the station. Of course. Oscar,
No, there is nothing like...
Oh. Oscar?
In a...
And if I were to watch one of those cylinders again... These shelves look as if they're made for valuable objects.
Anno, spójrz, to tutaj, zobacz.
Ale tu jest tak ciemno.
Nie bój się, wziąłem z fabryki lampę. Dziewczyny, naprawdę tchórze.
Zobaczymy, jaki ty będziesz mądry, gdy tata zauważy, że wziąłeś bez pozwolenia jedną z jego lamp. O, przez ciebie cała się ubłociłam.
Anno, patrz. Patrz.
Widziałam już takie malunki w książce. Wyglądają jak...
Anno, przysięgałaś, to jest nasza tajemnica. Spójrz, tu jest coś na górze.
Hans, przestań.
To jakby zabawka. Rany, muszę ją mieć. Poświeć mi tu.
Ale Hans, tam jest za wysoko. Hans, uważaj. Hans, uważaj.
Przez wiele tygodni mój brat leżał w śpiączce, zawieszony pomiędzy życiem a śmiercią. Kiedy pewnego ranka otworzył oczy, poczułam, że nie będzie już taki jak dawniej. Nigdy już nie powróciliśmy do jaskini, a ja po dziś dzień nie zdradziłam naszego sekretu.
No point weighing my... I'm sorry to disturb...
What can I...
The sailor...
Miss.
Right. The sailor...
Look,
all these... I can... It wasn't... I see what...
the faculty.
You haven't
a wonder.
Why not?
I can't...
You poor...
Worst thing is, cuckoo eggs piling up in the nests. Soon the rectors are gonna notice.
It seems that you're... The name... I feel like I...
Hey, it is...
I've just... Absolutely.
Well, I see.
But... It's a...
Nothing. It's just an idea.
I don't...
No, wait a second. I never really intended... You have to believe me. I can...
Or You're just not very...
I'll never do it.
I've just...
Well,
it's a...
nothing.
I feel like I won't disturb...
Welcome.
I'm sorry to...
What?
It seems... all the... I can... You haven't...
Oh.
Why not?
You...
This... Right.
Look.
I won't disturb you.
Welcome.
That looks broke. Hello.
Hey, baby, you party? You sure looking mighty fine. Love those big, round eyes.
Just who do you think you are?
Hey, spunky. I like that in a lady. Okay, I'm hooked. Come on, Zol. I'll let you buy me that coffee.
I don't remember ever asking.
Hey, don't play hard to get. I know you like it big time.
Listen, kid. Go back home and play with your toy cars and forget you ever saw me. Do excuse...
What is it? My...
Sorry.
How,
My train stopped... Are there? Thank you. I'll...
Sorry?
Do excuse me, Professor. Professor, sorry to Professor, I have brought you something that should be of interest to you. Look.
What have you got there, then? Let's see. An effigy of a mammoth. But this is Hans' doll, is it not? Yes, of course it is. How on earth did you... Oh, my God. It's in my hands. It exists. It really exists. Please do excuse me. I'm deeply, deeply moved.
You see? Your Hans and my Vorarlberg heir are one and the same.
This is incredible. After all these years, how can I ever thank you, my dear? Oh, I must waste no time. I'm off to my laboratory. I must study this carefully. May I borrow your treasure a moment?
Well, Actually,
Don't worry, miss. I will take the greatest care of it. But I need to study it. You see, it has such importance to me that this very afternoon I shall deliver an impromptu lecture to my students about this very object. If you are interested in Hans Vorarlberg, then it is essential that you attend.
do you think so?
Obviously. Give me your telephone number and I will call you the moment my lecture begins. I will return you your doll at the end. You have my word. What is it you want to know, miss?
I would have loved to study at a
No age is too old to start learning, my dear.
Maybe, but you know, the eternal student and all.
You prefer being an eternal lawyer?
I have more important things to deal with. Live problems, not things that died millions of years ago.
Everyone has their own priorities, my child.
You told me earlier about a lecture on some ancient Siberian tribe called the Ooks or something?
The Yukos, my dear. Careful not to confuse them with the Ukistran people of Central Asia.
Do excuse me. I wanted to know if your lecture is going to start soon.
Your eagerness to learn delights me, my dear. But I haven't finished studying this marvelous mammoth effigy yet. Don't worry, I will call you. And see you later.
What would you say about seeing Hans Vorarlberg again? After all, you could come with me and help me find him.
Young lady, you are very kind. I'm far too old for such escapades.
Your Hans Vorarlberg sounds uncannily like the one I'm looking for. Can you tell me a little bit more about him?
He was always a mystery to me. He never said very much, and never quite seemed to grasp what you said to him. He expressed himself instead through his incredible mechanical contraptions. His inventions, I admit, have been much appreciated by the university. The few times we really did talk, it was about his strange interest for mammoths and a doll. Some sort of doll that obsessed him.
Your Hans Vorarlberg sounds uncannily like the one I'm looking for. Can you tell me a little bit more about him?
He was always...
Arriving in Bergstadt is an amazing experience. I've never seen such a station.
You came by train?
Yes, in a kind of clockwork train with a spring mechanism that winds down regularly.
You mean you drive a train? Young ladies of today never cease to amaze me.
Oh, no, I'm not the engineer. The train's engineer is actually an automaton. I am sorry, all this probably sounds very strange.
A clockwork train, driven by an automaton. I once knew a man long ago who could have invented such a train. It was he who designed the bandstand in the main square. To think that he was even capable of creating such a gadget. He was astounding, a true genius. But oddly, at the same time, he was also almost a child. It was as if his mental and physical evolution had definitively halted at the age of 10. Can you believe that?
Yes. I think I can believe that. At least I'm beginning to. My train stopped in a peculiar aviary. It's very odd. A lot of bird species seem to seek harbor there.
Ornithology is far from being my favorite subject, but I must concede that the station is the pride of the university. It was initially intended for teaching purposes, but then birds started arriving from all around the world. It seems that there are still rare species breeding there and flourishing.
Are there? Can you give me an example?
I have been told about a kind of bird with peculiar habits. Let's see now, the Amazon cuckoo. That's right. But, I'm so foolish. I can't remember what was so special about it. Just that its behavior is very peculiar.
The Amazon? Where's the Amazon? What is the Amazon?
I'm sorry, my dear, but one cannot learn everything in a lifetime. Specialization is the key to real knowledge. Why don't you pay a visit to our library?
Thank you very much. Professor, how do I say this? You see, I didn't think I'd need a lot of money when I set out. And it turns out I need money after all. It's a delicate matter, I know, but I was wondering if you could help me out.
My dear, it would be a pleasure, but you see, I barely have enough myself to cover my meager expenditure on what I'm paid by the university.
Sorry, I didn't mean to offend or...
However, if we look at the example of Hans, it is true that our university always rewards people who perform some service for it. This is our dear rector's jurisdiction, however.
I'll leave you in peace. I hope I haven't disturbed you too much.
Sorry? No, not at all, my dear child.